What if I told you that behind her independence, confidence, and even resistance, there's a hidden desire most women carry, but rarely confess? It's not weakness, it's not submission, it's the longing to let go, but only in the presence of a man who's earned it. Here's the truth. Women don't want control all the time. They crave relief from control, to feel safe enough to surrender, but they'll only do that around a man whose presence is stronger than their chaos. Right now, most men either chase her approval or challenge her authority. Both lose. The rare ones, they lead with calm. They don't react. They create a space where a woman can finally exhale. So if you're done guessing what she wants and ready to feel it without words, like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I create safety without needing control. Number 1. The secret fantasy she can't admit until you unlock it. There's a desire most women won't confess, not to their friends, not to themselves. It's not about control or being saved or some fantasy of domination. It's the craving to let go, to surrender for a moment to the presence of a man so grounded that she no longer needs to lead, plan, or pretend. Not a tyrant, a center of gravity. This doesn't mean she wants to be told what to do. It means she wants to feel what it's like when a man leads from depth, not demand. When he walks into a room and doesn't ask for permission to belong. When he looks at her and sees through the social mask, not to control her, but to witness her. She dreams about this man, not in stories, but in her body. Too often, modern men misunderstand this. They believe being nice, asking for consent every 5 minutes or validating her every opinion will win her over. But they're chasing approval, not embodying presence. And deep down, she doesn't crave approval, she craves resonance. A man whose inner compass is so stable that she can trust herself around him. When you speak slowly, she listens harder. When you move with intention, she leans in. When you don't fill the silence, she feels the space, and in that space her imagination comes alive. You don't need to impress her with stories, you need to contain the moment. The man who doesn't rush, doesn't overshare, and doesn't seek reassurance, he becomes the one her mind can't escape. Here's the truth. Mystery is magnetic when it's built on self-possession. Say less, mean more. Touch once, then step back. Look her in the eye as if you've already seen her core. Not to expose her, but to honor what she hides. And when you finally speak, let it be a sentence that cuts through noise. Not praise, not flirtation, something real. You're always in control, but who are you when you let yourself breathe? That question doesn't demand an answer. It invites surrender. That's the difference between boys who try to seduce and men who awaken. One performs, the other sees. The Stoic man doesn't manipulate, he doesn't chase, and he doesn't retreat. He remains steady, intentional, and honest, because his worth isn't determined by how much she wants him, it's revealed by how little he needs to be wanted. Comment below. I become the presence she can trust. Number 2. Why leading without asking is the most magnetic thing you can do. In the modern dating world, many men believe that being respectful means being passive, always asking, always waiting, always seeking confirmation. They confuse leading with controlling, so they lose the one thing that makes them unforgettable, their certainty. But here's the paradox. The man she remembers is the one who never asked for permission to be himself. Women don't want control. They want to feel safe enough to let go. That safety doesn't come from excessive politeness or constant reassurance. It comes from presence. A man who knows where he's going and invites her along without hesitation. She exhales when you say, "We're going here," with calm confidence, because finally someone else is holding the wheel. Most men overcorrect. They think, I should be careful, so they become indecisive. They hesitate, overtalk, or ask, is this okay? Do you mind? And while those questions seem kind, they kill attraction. Why? Because uncertainty is a burden, and she's already carrying enough. Even if she never says it, she wants to feel your grounded leadership. Imagine this. You're on a date. Instead of saying, what do you want to do now? You stand up, offer your hand and say, follow me. That moment, simple, calm and unshakable, creates more spark than any compliment ever could. You didn't dominate, you invited, and that invitation waited because it came from your clarity, not your craving. The Stoic perspective reinforces this. Leading doesn't mean overpowering. It means knowing yourself so fully that you can act without seeking applause. It's not about games, it's about direction. A man with a mission doesn't wait for consensus, he moves, and lets others feel the freedom of choosing to follow. This is the essence of masculine polarity, not loudness, not bravado, but a quiet certainty that turns heads and calms storms. When you embody that, she doesn't just feel attracted, she feels safe, seen and stirred. Comment below, I don't ask, I lead. Number 3, the hidden power of saying less and letting her feel more. There's an art to silence that most men never master. They fill every moment with explanation, validation and noise, trying to prove they're good enough, safe enough, charming enough. But the man she can't stop thinking about? He's not the loudest. He's the one who lets silence speak for him. When you're calm and grounded, every pause becomes loaded with presence. You don't need to explain where you've been or why you took time to reply. You don't need to fill the space with small talk. You let her wonder, because in that wondering, she leans in. Emotion grows in empty spaces, not in overclarity. Here's the truth. The moment you stop trying to be understood is when you finally become felt. Picture this, she asks, what are you thinking? The common man spills his thoughts. Oh, just about work, kind of tired. But the man who knows his power says, something you wouldn't expect, and leaves it there. It's not vague to confuse, it's depth that invites curiosity. You're not hiding, you're holding space, and that's far more attractive. Stoicism teaches us that not every emotion needs to be shared, and not every thought deserves expression. A Stoic man speaks when it serves clarity, not comfort. His value isn't in how much he talks, but in how little he needs to. And when he does speak, his words are deliberate. They land because they're not thrown out carelessly. They're offered with intention. So the next time you feel the urge to explain, pause. Let the tension rise, let her sit in the mystery, let her feel you, not just hear you, because when a man becomes a mirror of stillness, she begins to see herself in the reflection, and that's when emotional intimacy deepens. Comment below, my silence is where she feels the most. Number 4, why she trusts you more when you speak less and lead more. In the world of modern dating, where so many men chase validation through compliments and promises, the rarest kind of man is the one who doesn't seek approval. He commands respect, not through force, but through calm certainty. And, ironically, that's the man women trust most. Not the one who always asks what she wants, but the one who already knows what he stands for. This doesn't mean dominating her decisions, it means leading from a place of presence. A man who knows where he's going doesn't need to convince her to follow. His direction alone creates gravity. His vision makes her feel safe to relax into her femininity because she no longer has to lead both herself and him. Here's where most men go wrong. They confuse politeness with passivity. They think asking her opinion on everything is respectful, when in fact it signals uncertainty. Where should we go? What do you want to eat? These questions might seem inclusive, but they make her feel like she's leading herself when overused. And that's exhausting. Instead, a stoic man listens but decides. He notices what she enjoys but doesn't defer his leadership. He says, "I booked something I think you'll love. Just bring your smile." That one sentence can build more trust than hours of reassurance. Why? Because it shows initiative. It shows he's paying attention not just to her words, but to her energy. Leadership in love is not about control. It's about responsibility. It's about being the kind of man who knows when to hold her hand and when to let her walk beside him. And sometimes, when necessary, walk ahead, but never because he's unsure of himself. Stoicism reminds us, lead not by noise, but by clarity. You don't need to convince, you need to be. And in that being, she'll feel safer than any spoken promise could ever offer. Comment below. Real leadership doesn't need to ask for permission. Number 5. The masculine mystery. Why she falls for what she can't fully understand. There's something about a man who doesn't explain everything, who lets silence carry weight, who reveals only what he chooses to and never more. That mystery is not a strategy, it's a reflection of depth, and it pulls her in like gravity. Because the unknown doesn't repel her. In a world where oversharing is the norm, a man who withholds becomes a paradox, comforting yet elusive. Women often say they want honesty and openness, and they do, but what they crave even more is discovery. To peel back the layers one moment at a time, to earn the truth, not be handed it all at once. The predictable man is safe but forgettable. She can anticipate his every move, his every reply. There's no story, no suspense. But the man who surprises her with his restraint, timing and unshakable calm becomes the story. Not because he plays games, but because he honors his inner world. He knows you don't give everything to everyone. The stoic man doesn't flaunt mystery, he embodies it. He isn't aloof, he's present. But he's selective. He doesn't fear intimacy, but he respects energy. He knows that silence can speak louder than declarations, that pausing before answering isn't hesitation, but awareness. A glance held too long, a sentence left unfinished, a compliment delivered with a smirk instead of an explanation. These are the subtle flames that kindle feminine desire. Why? Because her mind fills the gaps, and the more space you leave, the more she leans in. But here's the warning: mystery without integrity is manipulation. The power lies not in being unreadable, but in being real, just not all at once. Your depth is not a costume, it's a conviction. So instead of proving yourself, preserve yourself. Instead of pleasing, remain rooted. And let her curiosity grow, not because you tried to spark it, but because your silence revealed just enough to haunt her thoughts. Comment below she remembers the silence, not the speech. Number 6. The one line that breaks her walls. Speak to the part she hides from the world. There's a reason most compliments fall flat. They stroke the surface, beauty, style, charm, but never pierce the armor. If you truly want to touch a woman, don't flatter her mask, speak to the soul behind it. That's where her true self hides, and that's where she longs to be seen. Every strong woman has a secret softness. She's built to be independent, praised for being in control, but deep down she aches to let go. Not for weakness, but for connection. And when a man dares to speak to that part of her without judgment or agenda, she remembers him long after the conversation ends. It doesn't take poetry, it takes precision. One sentence, clear, steady and real, can break through more than 1,000 sweet nothings. Say something like, "You carry a lot, but I wonder who you are when you don't have to." Or, "You seem so strong, I bet not many notice when you're tired." That's not a pickup line. That's a mirror, and when she sees herself reflected in you, she leans in. Stoicism teaches us to observe without needing to react, to perceive without rushing to fix. In love, this means you don't try to melt her exterior, you simply stand present, aware and unafraid of the deeper parts. That's what builds intimacy, not control, but clarity. Don't say it to impress, say it because you mean it, and then don't fill the silence, let the words echo. Let her feel that someone finally noticed her, not the performance she's used to giving. She may laugh it off at first, or go quiet. That's okay. Truth doesn't always land instantly, but it lingers, and when it does, you'll become the voice in her head, the one that didn't praise her mask, but saw the soul beneath it. Comment below, "I see more than what she shows." Number 7. The silent spell. Why she can't stop thinking about you after you walk away. Sometimes, it's not what you do that makes her miss you. It's what you don't do. You don't chase. You don't explain. You don't beg to stay in her orbit. And in the silence you leave behind, something unexpected happens. She starts to feel your absence more than she ever felt your presence. You see, most men try to win with noise. Grand gestures, long texts, emotional speeches, but women don't remember noise. They remember tension, they remember the mystery, they remember the man who walked away with dignity and didn't try to be understood. That man becomes a question in her mind, and questions linger. The key is stillness. When she pulls away, you don't fight the current, you let her drift, but you don't swim after her. Instead, you turn your back calmly, not out of spite, but out of respect for yourself. You choose to protect your peace. She starts to wonder, why didn't he react? And that wonder becomes a whisper she can't ignore. From a Stoic perspective, this is the essence of self-control. You're not avoiding emotion, you're mastering it. You're choosing power over desperation, silence over chaos, and in doing so, you become the rare presence that doesn't need to be loud to be remembered. She expects a response, she expects drama, she expects you to fold, but when all she receives is quiet confidence, a vanished presence, it flips the dynamic. She's no longer the one in control, you are. Not because you dominate her, but because you refuse to be ruled by your own need for closure. And the longer you remain still, the more her mind fills in the gaps. Every silence becomes a canvas where she paints her own story, and, ironically, you become her creation, the man she starts to romanticize, idealize, and ultimately miss. Because the man who doesn't try to be remembered always is. Comment below, my silence speaks louder than words. Number 8. The art of leading without asking, how presence alone unlocks her deepest trust. Real dominance doesn't need to shout. It doesn't ask, "Is this okay?" every step of the way. It moves with quiet confidence, and in doing so makes her feel something she rarely allows herself to feel, safe enough to surrender. In today's world, women are taught to be in control of their career, their emotions, their choices. But even the strongest woman harbors a secret longing to be led by a man who doesn't need permission to be masculine. Not forcefully, not arrogantly, but from a place of still, grounded presence. Here's the paradox. She doesn't want to be controlled. She wants to release control, but only when she feels your energy can handle the weight of her vulnerability, and that only happens when your presence says, "I've got this," without ever needing to explain it. The mistake most men make, they over-ask. Where do you want to go? Is this okay? Do you like this? Every question chips away at your leadership. She wants to feel your direction, not because you're telling her what to do, but because you already know where you're going. Stoicism teaches us that leadership begins within. You don't need validation, you don't require applause. You act with intention, speak with restraint, and let your actions form a gravity she naturally orbits. You don't demand her submission, you become so solid that she chooses it. When you hold eye contact, speak slowly and move deliberately, you signal far more than words ever could. You're not trying to impress. You're not asking for anything. You're leading. And that, more than any compliment or gift, is what makes her lean in, not out of duty, but desire. Not because she has to, but because something inside her wants to. Comment below, I lead with presence, not permission. Number 9. When she feels safe to let go, the moment that changes everything. There's a turning point in every connection, subtle, unspoken, when a woman shifts from guarded to open, from cautious to surrendered. And it rarely happens because of words. It happens because of energy. This isn't about manipulation. It's not about getting her. It's about becoming the kind of man who makes her feel like she can finally breathe. The kind of man whose presence is so grounded she forgets to keep her walls up. Because here's the truth most never say. Women long to rest, but only when the man in front of them feels unshakable. She naturally softens when she feels like she doesn't have to lead, protect, or explain. She's not weak, she's exhausted, and she's silently asking, "Can I trust you to carry the weight I usually bear alone?" This is where the stoic man thrives. He doesn't flinch when emotions rise. He doesn't chase reassurance or seek to fix her. He listens without trying to change the outcome. He stays present without losing himself in her storm, and in doing so, he becomes the eye of it, the calm she never knew she needed. You don't unlock this moment by trying to impress her. You unlock it by living in integrity, by showing, not saying, by being consistent even when no one's watching. And when she senses that consistency, when your presence doesn't waver under pressure, she lets go. Not because you asked, but because she felt it. This moment doesn't look dramatic. Sometimes it's a long pause in her story. Sometimes it's a deep exhale. Sometimes it's how she looks at you like she finally sees you. And from that moment, everything changes. Not because you forced her to feel something, but because you gave her space to feel safe enough to feel everything. Comment below. Stillness invites surrender. You started this video wondering what women truly desire. Now you see. It's not a man who dominates her. It's a man so centered she can finally let her guard down. This isn't about being alpha. It's about being anchored. She doesn't surrender to status. She surrenders to stillness, to presence, to a man who doesn't flinch when she tests him. Because when you stop chasing her body and start understanding her energy, you unlock something even she didn't know she was waiting for. If you're ready to be that man, like this video, subscribe and comment. My calm awakens what her words can't say. Stay steady, stay silent, because the strongest men don't chase, they awaken.